Do you want to be successful? Have you heard that before? People say, go out there and be successful. You can be anything you want to be. Well, what does that mean? It's like saying, let's go bake a cake. And you say, great. And then they walk away. How do you bake that cake? You don't know the recipe. Well, when people say, you can be anything you want to be successful, how do you be successful? What are the steps that someone would go through to be successful? Now, fortunately, as we know, the Bible is good for all uses, and even how to be successful. And how do we know this? Because there's a little known story that we don't often think about, but a real short guy who had a lot of obstacles in his life, but he was successful, and his name was Zacchaeus. And we know about Zacchaeus from Luke 19, 1 through 10. Let's look at the scripture, and then let's walk through the steps of what he had to go through to be successful. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times that amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to your house, because this man too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. How do we break that down to success? Let's look at it. Zacchaeus started from nothing more than a desire, a wish. He had a vision. The scripture says he wanted to see Jesus, but it was just an idea, something in his head. He had to translate that thought into action, a strategy. So what was the next issue? Obstacle. He was short. He could not see over the crowd. There's no way he was going to see Jesus that way. And if we're going to be successful in life, we have to identify the obstacles, because those will be the things that will prevent us from reaching our goals. And he had obstacles. However, he also had an urgency. He had a goal, and he was going to reach his goal. So how do we know he had urgency? He didn't walk. He ran. He ran ahead. He had to get to where he wanted to be. He had to want it so bad that he ran. Action. You could run all you want, but run. Does that get you where you want to be? No, because your action has to be strategic. So he knew in order to see Jesus, he had to elevate his position to a vantage point that would work for him. Put him above the crowd, differentiate him from the everyday person. So he took action. He did something. He didn't just run, but he did something that was strategic. He climbed a tree. Okay, that was great. He climbed a tree, but he could have climbed any tree. There were lots of trees. Why that one? Because he had strategy. He strategically chose a specific tree. Why? Because Jesus was coming that way. That was the way Jesus was going to come. He could have climbed another tree and probably seen Jesus from a distance. Nah, that wasn't his goal. When he wanted to see Jesus, it wasn't that he wanted to visually see him. He wanted to know him. So his strategy was he found a tree that was strategically where he needed to be. Now, when you do this in life, opportunities will come. But when they come, you have to grab them, and grab them now, because they will not wait for you. So the opportunity was Jesus stopped, and he looked up and he said, Zacchaeus, come down. Whoa, this was well beyond his expectations. It exceeded his expectations. And what did Zacchaeus do to that door of opportunity? You're right. He responded. And how do we know? Because he came down at once. Immediately he came down. He grabbed the opportunity now. He didn't stop and think about it. The opportunity, the door was there. He went through it. Oh boy, what happens when we go to opportunities? There's always going to be somebody try to discourage us. You can't do that. You don't have the education. You don't have the physical appearance. You don't have the character. You can't do it. It's called focus. Zacchaeus was focused, and the distraction was what? People began to mutter. They began to complain. What if Zacchaeus looked around and said, oh my gosh, these people, first off, they don't like me already because I'm a tax collector. I'm already short and ugly. Well, that didn't stop him. He kept his eye on the goal, on the target. Now, was that all it took? Because when you go through that door of opportunity and you put your eye on the target, it's nothing you do willy-nilly. You are either all in or you're all out. It's called commitment and sacrifice. Zacchaeus had committed to his objectives, his goals. Well, how do we know that? Here and now, I will give back if I stole 4 times. That's commitment. He was all in. There was no turning back for him, no Rubicon in this case. He was all in. And that's what it takes to be successful. And what was the end result of Zacchaeus' work? Success. How do we know he was successful? Jesus went to his house. Today, salvation has come to this house. He went to his house. Keep in mind, he started out just wanting to see Jesus. And where did he end up? Jesus was in his house, a guest, far beyond his expectations. But that only happened, why? Because he had a dream, he had a vision, and he translated his vision into action and strategy, focus, commitment, and there he got his success. Let's go out there and be successful. You can be everything or anything you want to be. Just follow Zacchaeus' example. It doesn't get better than that. Thank you.